Satsang Ji Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sikh Channel has travelled to Mould in North Wales, and we are currently in Daniel Owen Square, where in Mould Against Racism, a group that was formed literally in the past few days following from the attack on 24-year-old Sarandev Singh Bhambra by an alleged white supremacist at a Tesco store in Mould. The local community are gathering today in solidarity with Sarandev Singh Bhambra and against extremism and racism. And Sikh Channel will be covering this particular event and talking to the organisers, the local community leaders and the local community itself on how they feel about this sort of attack taking place in their town. Satsang Ji, let's talk to some of the residents of Mould and get their reaction to the horrific event that took place here on Wednesday last week. And with me we have Andy. Andy, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Just your thoughts about this particular horrific event that took place. How does it make you feel?
Doesn't make me feel great. I've got family here, you know, and so yeah, they're growing up here, and anything of that nature, it's just wrong. Fundamentally, it's wrong anyway. But to have it on your doorstep, it doesn't feel great, you know.
The papers are alleging that he was part of a white supremacist because he was shouting white power as he did this attack. How does that make you feel? Because obviously this is not a sort of common scene across Britain anyway, but in a small town, North Wales, where no one's even heard of in majority of people. Yeah. Does that set Mould in a good light in that respect?
If you read the papers, I mean, personally I don't. I mean, for me it's just about people getting on, yes, and everyone living together. So anything of this nature is just not welcome at all.
That's fantastic. Also, obviously, how does it make you feel now that a group has been formed in Mould itself? Local members have come together and formed Mould Against Racism and actually holding a rally today in support of all communities coming together.
I think it's good, you know, just people coming together to make sure, you know, that everybody feels a lot safer, or that there's support there and you don't feel isolated in any way, you know. So it's a good thing, yeah, it's a good thing. But if it raises the general awareness that it's kind of wrong to go around doing bad stuff, that's a good thing.
Thank you so much, Andy. Appreciate that. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. We have another local resident of Mould with us, John. Yeah. Thank you for joining us on Sikh Channel.
No problem.
We're covering an event here by Mould Against Racism that's taking place today. They're holding a rally, obviously following on from the tragic event that took place last week in a Tesco store. That particular event where this young man has attacked another young man with a machete and a hammer while he was doing shopping, is the local resident has been arrested and remanded. The young man, being of Asian origin, is just released from hospital just in the last 24 hours. What does this say about, or how do you feel about this sort of attack taking place in your town?
At first, I'd just like to say I wish the man a full recovery, and I think everyone in this area, the local people and local people around this area, be totally disgusted with what's happened. And as I say, from my heart, and I think from the heart of everyone in this city, it's a quiet place. That shouldn't happen around here. It shouldn't happen at all, like, you know what I mean? And my heart, and I think the people in Mould would say exactly the same. We wish him well, and, you know, we're disgusted in what's happened, to be honest, like, you know what I mean? An absolute terrible thing, a tragedy, to be honest.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
No problem. No problem.
Take care. With us now we have Danny Brown, who's a local resident of Mould, and we're going to get his reaction to the attack that took place last week, where a young man was attacked viciously with a hammer and a machete. Andy, your reaction to this sort of event that took place it's a pretty small town, sleepy town, and this sort of thing that happened is horrendous. So how did it make you feel?
Sick to the bones, really. Yeah, this type of thing doesn't usually happen around here, and it makes you think that there's some sick people out there, and it's totally unacceptable.
What did the local community around you, your friends and family feel? How does it make you feel in regards to something like this happening in your locality?
Which couldn't believe it actually happened. My parents and myself, we shop there quite regularly, and it's unbelievable, really sickening. Yeah.
What message would you send to people out of Mould at the moment, thinking well, I don't think I want to be travelling there in that respect, because I feel I might be a next target. Obviously, to diminish these fears, because obviously there's one or two individuals that have those extreme psycho thinkings. But what message would you like to send?
Well, I think we can't be put off by it. Mould's a nice place, and the Tesco store is very popular. But at the end of the day, hopefully it was an isolated incident and it won't happen again. So yeah.
Appreciate that. Thanks for your time, Andy.
Thank you.
Sarandev, let's speak to another local resident of Mould and get their reaction to the horrific event that took place at the Tesco store last week. So with me I have...
my name's Joan Hughes.
Joan, how does this make you feel in regards to Mould and how it represents Mould?
Oh, upset about it, because there's never ever been any racial disharmony in this town before.
So these sort of events, how do we move forward? Because today you got Mould Against Racism, a group that was formed on the back of this attack. They're holding a rally in this particular square against racism in solidarity with Sarandev Singh Bhambra, the young man who was attacked, the dentist. How does that make you feel, the reaction of the community so far?
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and I think this is what should happen to make it more unified. There shouldn't be any racism at all, not just alone in this town. There shouldn't be any racism, full stop, in the world.
Thank you so much. Sarandev, we have with me Graham Partridge, who's another local resident of Mould, has been living here for many years. To get his reaction into the horrific event that took place at Tesco store last week. So Graham, how does this event make you feel as a community member that this sort of thing took place in your town?
Well, I'm deeply shocked, because I'd like to think that a small town such as Mould, living quite remotely, will have a very high level of tolerance towards different types of community, and certainly my experience over the years and the time I've lived here is that there's a very close community, and it's a very warm and open community, not an intolerant or closed one in this way.
This particular young individual, apparently alleged by the media, is saying that he was a white supremacist, he was shouting white power as he did this particular attack. How does that make you feel? Is this representation of Mould?
I think it's quite damaging for an area such as Mould. It's outside of how we would want to think and how we'd want to behave, and it really is unacceptable. And we need to try and improve the level of education and knowledge of how communities work, and certainly not be affected by someone's physical appearance, which maybe in this case the wearing of a turban. It's just not acceptable.
By his entity. Also, how does it make you feel then that a small group of people following on from this attack are holding a rally today, and they call themselves Mould Against Racism? How does that make you feel? That's the reaction for this particular attack?
I'm not aware of this particular event or who the organiser, in particular who may be involved. If it's genuine, I would endorse that. I just have a slightly sceptical view as to why people sometimes do organise these events. If it is for that very specific purpose, I would endorse that.
I think that the reason they're doing it is to say that with solidarity with all communities, says Mould Against Racism. So they're saying that Mould is not a particular racist place. This is an isolated incident. I think that's the reaction that they're trying to
totally endorse that position in that case. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Graham, for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Sarandev, we have another resident from Mould with us, Jimmy, and we're going to get his reaction to the horrific attack that took place last week. Jimmy, how does it make you feel that a young Asian man was attacked by allegedly a white supremacist who was shouting white power as he attacked this individual with a machete and hammer in the Tesco store? How does that make you feel?
That just makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, because obviously it's not everyone's got as much right to be there as the same person. We're all equal at the end of the day. So there's no point in trying to say, oh, right, we shout white power, what are you doing that? Because that's just wrong in my point of view, I think. We're all human beings. Okay, we're all different. But it's just wrong in every way. I just feel uncomfortable going there now. I don't really...
Have you discussed this with your friends and family? How does it make the wider community? How do they think the wider community felt with this particular attack, especially, and how it reflects on Mould?
Yeah, I spoke to it with because I didn't hear about it until like a few hours later. And then my girlfriend came to me flat, and she told me what happened, and I saw it on the news and explained everything. And everyone just seems a bit uncomfortable. Right, my family and friends all just they agree with me really, saying it was a bit wrong and a bit out of order. We're all human beings. Just one idiot, so to speak, just thinks he knows better than everybody else, and just did something that's life changing to probably a nice, kind gentleman.
Also, what's your reaction to a group of organisers that have now organised a Mould Against Racism rally here in Daniel Owen Square? Obviously, on the back of this particular attack, how does that make you feel, like the community coming together?
Yeah, it makes you feel good because obviously we need to stamp out racism because, like I said, we're all human beings at the end of the day, and we're all one community. We're all in this community building it together, and we shouldn't really have any disruption in it, so it makes you feel a lot better.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Sarsangaji, with me now we have the local MP David Hanson, who's also come down to join with Mould Against Racism, the rally that's taking place in Mould today in North Wales, in solidarity with Sarandev Singh Bhambra after the horrific event that took place last week. It's fantastic the local community are coming together in support and solidarity of all communities and trying to stamp out racism. Let's get a reaction from the MP to what's basically your reaction. The Sikh community are watching right now. We feel obviously this particular attack was an act of terror in that respect. The way a young man claiming to be from a white supremacist background, shouting white power, with a young man who's a dentist, local dentist here, he was attacked with a machete and hammer. So how does that make you feel, and how do you think the community is coming together after following that attack?
Well, thanks for the chance to talk tonight. I mean, we're horrified at the fact this attack has taken place in Mould. We're here tonight, later this evening, to show our support for the victim, for the victim's family, and to also say that that's not been done in our name. We are a peaceful rural community in North Wales here. This is totally out of keeping with the town, and there's been an arrest, there's been a charge, there will be a trial, and we just want to say at the moment that we have total abhorrence of the attack last week and want to disassociate ourselves from the racial motivation of that attack.
Obviously, it is intriguing that a young man can be radicalised in this particular way, whatever's happened in that scenario. But as a wider community, as being a local MP, what steps are you taking now to ensure that this is, like you said, and I echo your concerns, this is an isolated incident. But how are we reassuring all the communities, not just the Sikh community, but the Muslim community, other communities that might feel, thinking, wow, this has happened in North Wales. How do I feel reassured that I could come back or be safe here?
Well, I think people can be safe here. This is a very isolated incident. Nothing like this has ever happened before. We have, as it happens, a very low Sikh and Muslim population in this part of North Wales. It is not acceptable that people who are here, who are contributing to our community, are attacked on the basis of their race. And we want to show tonight that solidarity with people and to show that we're a welcoming, open, tolerant community. And it's important that we send that message. It's important that we say that. And I can't comment on the case. It will go to court. It will be dealt with by the courts. But it's very important that we simply say that people should be judged for who they are, not for what the colour of their skin or their religion is.
Fantastic. Also, so obviously the Sikh community are watching this on Sikh Channel right now. Is there a message that you would like to send out to the community in particular from yourself?
Well, I think we have to recognise that we're a multiracial, multicultural society, and the people from throughout the United Kingdom should be allowed to enjoy their religion and to enjoy their life without the threat of violence on a random basis that apparently has happened here last week in Mould. We've got to send that signal very strongly. This is about the security of our community here. We are horrified at this attack. We want to make a stand. We want to show that we're horrified, and I'm pleased that people have come here today to support that stand.
Obviously we talked about the negative story, but also like a positive that's come out of this is that a bunch of locals have got together on the back of this particular attack and organised this rally. How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that my constituents have stood up to this alleged racist attack. I think it's very positive that people have done that.